welcome to Hometown Cable's What's Going On Here Sunday program with Bob Venn and Calvin Castan on the camera, talking with various people, taking tours around the North Country. Now, this morning, we didn't have to travel very far. They came to us, and they came to us from a long way off. We have two priests from different parts of the world. On my left here is Father Makasa from Uganda, and Father Waltz, the smiling man over on the right here, also from Jamaica. And he's not here to pick apples. That's a different group of people out of Jamaica.
I made a mistake. I thought I was picking apples.
You thought you were picking apples. We're up at the Mission Center on Oak Street, the home of Rita LaBombard, and we've talked to both of these gentlemen before. And Father Makasa reminds me that it's 4 years ago. I thought it was 3. It's 4 years ago we talked with Father Makasa outside. And Father Walsh, we talked with you, I think it's two years ago. I can remember better, 2 years ago. And we were here to talk a little bit, just find out what's happening. Rita gave us a call, find out what they're doing back in the area. And of course, we're glad to have him back in the area. Just a little bit of information. Start off with the long distance here from Uganda. You left when, Father?
I left on Saturday from Nairobi.
Okay.
Nairobi to Amsterdam. That took us 7 hours and 55 minutes. And I stayed in Amsterdam for over 80 hours waiting for coming to Montreal. And I left Amsterdam yesterday around 3 o'clock and got to Montreal around 5 o'clock. 5:30.
Uh-huh. Have you ever met Father Waltz before?
No, but I've heard.
You've heard about him, huh? And pictures around here, I'm sure. But it's great to have you both here at the same time. How long will you be in the area?
About 5 weeks.
5 weeks?
Yes.
Well, you're going to be here a while. And Father Waltz, tell us when you left home and when you got here.
We left home on Tuesday and took a plane from Kingston, Jamaica to Miami. And then I always have a lot of stops on the way, so I had to rent a vehicle.
Uh-huh.
And our first stop was Jacksonville, and then we stopped in Virginia, South Boston, Virginia.
South Boston, never heard of it.
There's only 2. I think you know the other one.
Yes, we do.
And then from there to Glassboro, New Jersey, and then up here.
Okay, and how long will you be in the North Country?
Well, I'm leaving tomorrow morning for Buffalo and Toronto, and going through Canada, and then coming back here for a one-night stand in Plattsburgh, and then I go down south, all the way to Florida. I'm on a fundraiser trying to support.
All right, just going to ask you that next. You're on a fundraiser now. Were you able to talk fun?
F-U-N-D, right?
F-U-N-D, yes.
Sounded like fun.
Okay, but he's here for fun. F-U-N?
No.
No, he's also here. Now,
I wanted to clarify that one-night stand.
now tell me now, when you stopped in South Boston,
Yeah.
and then Glassboro, you said, New Jersey?
That was my first assignment when I was a young fellow.
Okay.
South Boston, Virginia. That's my first assignment in 1954. Yes.
So, in Jamaica, you were running a school and or a hospital?
No, it's a children's
Orphanage
home.
type of thing. All right. And so you are getting money on a general basis from these various areas that you are calling on?
Money and gifts.
Gifts?
Like in Lion Mountain on Saturday night and Sunday, the people collected towels, sheets, pillowcases, things like that. I usually specify what I need.
Okay. Now, in addition to that, we're talking. Well, we'll get into what Rita does for him here later. Where did you start off with? Where did you become a priest, and what was your first assignment?
Wow, my whole life. How many hours do you have?
Give us a thumbnail sketch at least.
Well, I didn't really want to be a priest at all. I had never even thought about it. In fact, I was preparing to become a doctor. I was in pre-med in Philadelphia, and I had a steady girlfriend. I was looking forward to marriage.
Yeah?
But the Lord had other plans, and he called me very distinctly. You know, I knew the calling when it came, but it wasn't at a very, what should I say, propitious time. It wasn't such a nice time that he called me. I was dancing with my girlfriend on my 20th birthday, and that was the first time he called me. What do you think of that?
Well, I guess someone out there is going to say, how did you know he called you at the time? What kind of a message did you get, or what kind of a feeling did you have?
Well, here I've been ordained 42 years, and it was only about 5 years ago that I was able to put a name on it because I was reading a book, you know. You know what it is, if I was going to? Interlocution is the way the Lord calls me, see? It means that the Lord speaks to the soul, and you know exactly what he's saying, see? But it's not words. So does that help any?
Well, no, but I hope it does with someone out there.
A lot of lay people have that. They have the experience where God speaks to the soul. See? And of course, having a nice girlfriend and looking forward to being a doctor, I wasn't exactly anxious to hear that, you know. So I kind of put it off. And then when I graduated and I got my acceptance to medical school, I had to make a big decision. And to be honest with you, my parents were very good parents, and I had a sensitive conscience. So I knew that the Lord was calling me to the priesthood, see? But I also knew I was attracted in this other direction. So I had to pray hard about it. And when I finally made a decision to give the vocation a try, from that moment on, right like that, I knew exactly that I would never be anything but a priest.
Did your girlfriend help you to make the decision?
Well, she helped me in the sense that, you know, I think we both loved each other in a very exalted way, and she knew that I was a person that would follow my conscience, and so in that sense she understood. Whereas my older brother, he was the opposite. He says, "You're doing something stupid," he said.
Well.
He says, for example, you can't even stand up in front of people and talk, you know? And it was true. I was so shy as a boy. I grew up on a farm. I had no experience at all in speaking before a crowd, that I was extremely shy. And but the Lord took care of that. Now I'm the opposite. People wonder why I don't shut up.
Well, so you became a priest, and then what was your first assignment? Do you remember?
Well, when I was studying, the Lord spoke to me again. In fact, you know, I've had many interlocutions, and the Lord asked me to work amongst black people who had suffered from slavery, see? And I had no idea where I would go, you know. And so my first assignment was in South Boston, Virginia. And
let's take a short break. We got someone at the door. The phone is ringing, and we'll be right back.
Okay.
We were just saying we apologize for the interruption, but Rita said that's a common thing here at the Mission Center. Someone bringing in some food, and a lot of people come up here to the Mission Center for various reasons. But we're getting back to. Don't go away, Father. We're coming back to you. We're back with Father Walsh. Said he had just got his first assignment, I think you said, in South Boston.
Yes, and I was there for a couple of years, and then I was sent to Buffalo, New York, to teach high school boys. What do you think of that?
Well, now that seems like a long way off from your diocese. You were the diocese of Virginia?
No. I was a Franciscan.
Okay, all right.
You know, they move us all over.
All
the
right,
place.
so you can go.
So they sent me to Buffalo, and of course I'm saying to myself, the Lord is calling me to work amongst black people who had suffered from slavery. What am I doing in Buffalo, you know? But see, God is a little bit smarter than we are. He knew that in the future I would be looking after children, see? So I had to have experience. Those 2 years in high school, as you know, the children in Buffalo are pretty tough kids too. So I had those 2 years experience in the classroom. But then, in my first year there, I was there for 2 years, the provincial comes to me, that's our head man, and he says, we are opening up a new mission in Kingston, Jamaica. I didn't even know where Kingston, Jamaica was. But I knew right there that that was what I had waited for all these years. I knew it right away. So in '58, I was sent to Kingston, Jamaica, where my first assignment was to work in this parish, and I was given the task of looking after the poorest of the poor in the parish. And that's what I did.
Okay.
I did that for almost 9 years.
As a parish priest.
And then I was kind of frustrated because of the culture. You know anything about the culture of Jamaica? The loose relationships between young men and young women, and then they have children without getting married, and then they switch partners and all that kind of stuff. And I wasn't able to reach them spiritually with the message of the Christian ideal of family life. See? So I prayed about it, and that's when they sent me to prison. Remember, I spent 7 years in
Dannemora prison here.
But as a chaplain,
Yes,
right?
yes. There was an open house there yesterday. You didn't make that, did you?
I passed by and waved.
Oh, yeah. Okay, there was an open house at
I
the
know,
prison.
yeah.
Yes.
So that's where I really learned a lot about human nature and understood what the delinquent behavior of these men was caused from. See? So this study of human nature really helped me when I went back to Jamaica, because it was the same kind of a frustrating childhood that my children experienced in Jamaica. And it was then that I started St. Anthony's Children's Home, and that is 21 years ago.
In Jamaica.
Yes.
All right, for people who also didn't know where Kingston, Jamaica is, Father said he didn't know. This is an atlas I picked up this morning at home, and this is Cuba. You know where Cuba is, just off Florida coast. Well, here is Cuba, and right down here is Jamaica, and I guess the capital is Kingston.
Yes.
And everybody out there probably doesn't know much about it except Don Green and his people, because a lot of his apple pickers that we were kidding about earlier come from the island of Jamaica. Great fruit and vegetable pickers. They do that, and they come to the United States, and they're I can't say it's poverty, but they don't make a lot of money in Jamaica, and they're able to come here. They're hard workers and do a great job with the fruits and vegetables. So this is where Father came from. He's not that far from a short flight from there to Jacksonville, huh? Or Miami?
Yeah, 500 miles.
500 miles.
Right.
All right. So while all this was happening back in 1958, we had someone else out in Uganda, I guess. You were born in Uganda, Father? All right. And when did you get the calling to become a priest, do you think?
When I was still young, in the primary, I joined the minor seminary when I was 15 years of age, and I stayed in the minor seminary and then went to the major seminary where I trained for theology and the rest of priestly preparation. I was ordained in 66 December, and I was appointed as an assistant priest in 2 parishes. Then I was made a parish priest. Then in 73, my bishop sent me to Canada to study social.
Right here, yes.
Yes, at St. Paul's. I studied in 74, 75. I was at St. Paul's for social studies. I went back and I was appointed as a parish priest again until 82, when the problems started in Uganda. So I was appointed as Diocesan Development Coordinator for the Archdiocese of Kampala. And it was then that in 82 I came back here in Champlain to talk to friends about the problems we had in Uganda. I was able to get some assistance, like clothing and the rest. And some other friends here in America helped me with a truck, which I got, and I was using to transport food and medicine to displaced groups. We had many camps in Uganda where people were displaced because of a civil war, and so that truck helped me a lot to distribute food and medicine to different groups. I did that work until the end of until the war was over in '86, and then we went on with social development, helping people to help themselves with these small projects in their families. And I did that until the end of '91, when I was appointed parish priest in one of the largest parishes in the Archdiocese of Kampala. I found out that it was impossible to administer to those people because of distances. So with a dialogue with my bishop, we decided to divide the parish. I came back to United States in '91 to ask for help, and some friends helped me to get funds, especially '91 and '92. I got some funds, and I started a new mission, and I've been appointed as parish priest for that new mission. We were able to put up a rectory, and we are there now, 3 priests in that rectory. But we have some other problems, especially problems of transport. We cannot reach most of our people. We have a team of about 15 lay catechists who go around, who would like to go, who would be able to go around for instructing religion to school children, and to meet other lay groups of Christians for Christian education. But we lack means of transport, so we are trying to talk to friends who can help us with the means of transport to be able to reach the people in distant areas. We have also another problem of AIDS. So many of our people are dying of AIDS, and we have a program whereby we could reach the people at least to work to prevent the causes of AIDS, because the government has failed. No solution, no cure. But I think and I believe the church has the cure, because prevention is better than cure.
Right.
So if we have means of reaching our people, we could at least help them to change their morals, because I believe AIDS is basically a moral issue.
Well, Father, has the war is over in '86, you said?
Yes, '86.
Are there many skirmishes left, or is it pretty well quiet now in Uganda?
It is more or less quiet. We are just trying to build ourselves.
Okay, so that's one problem you don't have to worry
We
about.
don't have to worry about that.
But, and I think you're saying the government has not really faced the AIDS problem at all?
It has, no, that's
None.
not what I said. It has, but I mean to say the cure lies with, the
Oh, I
best
see.
solution
Okay.
lies with the church.
Okay.
Because you have to teach more, but the government is doing a lot to tell people to avoid AIDS and to be careful. The government is doing a lot for that.
What percentage of the people does your church reach in Uganda, would you say? Do they reach half of the people?
No.
Not that much,
Have not, yes. But in my own parish, I think I have about 35,000 Catholics and about 750,000 non-Catholics in the area, in the parish.
You have that many? You have nearly 800,000 people?
That's
Spread
right.
over how wide an area?
In about 60 miles. About 60 or 50. About 50. Yes, about 50. Because from my own, this is the map of my own parish. This is the parish.
Okay, this,
That is
so it runs long rather than a square.
That's right, yes. And all along are rivers. On one side is the Nile.
Yes,
This is the Nile.
Okay.
This is the Nile.
the Nile runs on one side, and this is north, right here,
That's right, yes.
and you have a river on the other side. You have natural boundaries, don't you?
Naturally, they are
And-
more or less on an island.
Right.
Yeah.
And where is your parish your rectory located?
It is
Right about in the middle?
yes,
Yep.
more or less.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Well, first of all, we should mention to you, where is Uganda? Let's take a short break, and I'll find this, and when we come back, we'll find out where Uganda is. Then we'll worry about the parish within Uganda. Thanks for tuning in to Hometown Cable.
What's that big country
We'll
next to you?
try to go down
Kenya,
into the
Kenya.
area.
Yes.
Africa,
Sudan in the north.
and in the south,
Is that a big
south central
population?
here, or east
Kenya?
central, right in this
What
purple right
population
here
is Kenya?
is Uganda, next to Kenya,
40 million?
and next to the Congo. And it's very near Entebbe, you said, right?
Entebbe.
Entebbe is in what country?
It is in Uganda.
It's Uganda,
That's
all
the
right.
national airport.
It's the national airport where there's been a lot of talk and some movies made of. So it's right here. And then if we go a little further in this atlas, we can find, we're down into an area now, and this is Uganda right here. And you can see here is the Lake Victoria. And then this is Entebbe right here. How far are you from Entebbe?
About 45 miles.
Okay.
About 50 miles, 52 miles
In northeast,
northeast.
northeast, up in this direction of the country. And then within there is this new parish of nearly 800,000 people, of which at this time you have baptized or Catholic 35,000.
35, yes. 35.
Okay, it gives us a general idea of what we're talking about. Now, what are these names on the side of here, Father? What are these?
These are the names of the different outer stations in my parish.
Okay, so what do you have at the outer stations? I guess each little mark you see on here is
An outer station.
and what is there at the outer station?
We have a local chapel and a catechist is based
Okay.
there. And then the group of Christians in that
Uh-huh.
outer station have their Sunday services there.
And you've done this since 1991?
In 90.
90 it started to...
No. This was a part of another parish.
Oh, part of
So
another,
this parish
okay.
has been in existence since October last year.
Okay,
And
a new parish.
A new parish since October.
And it's St. Matthews?
St. Matthias, Kitimbwa Catholic Parish.
Okay.
Yes.
Now-
Matthias is one of the 22 Uganda martyrs.
At the same time, are there Protestant missions in the same area?
Yes.
You know, this is a thing that I don't want to step in anybody's foot here, but it's hard to say how many different missions there would be from other parishes, but it's got to be confusing for the people to have 5 or 6 different missionaries trying to get them in their one religion. I would think that would be a problem to me, you know. It's a problem. Yes. And each person, each mission thinks that they are the one, right? And they're very sincere, they believe it, and it's got to be very tough on the people.
That's
Right.
true. Yes.
Now, do many of these people speak English?
No.
No,
In my area, not many.
Not
people
many speak English at all.
I find very few who can speak.
When did you learn English, Father? When
In
did?
the seminary first, and then when I was here in
You was-
Ottawa.
Well, you do very well. You do very, very well. The Lord acts in strange ways. Just as soon as I asked Father Mikasa where he learned his English, the camera went off for batteries, and we're back now. We're on electric, and so you learned English. You said when you were
Young in the seminary,
okay.
and then sometimes when I came to Canada and here,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Now we tried to have me learn a little bit of Ugandan when we were off a little bit. It's not easy, so I won't attempt to say, but it was going to be good morning. Urdia Katsawatsa. Now I don't know what I just said. Father, you were raised on a farm.
Yes, my
Uh,
parents were farmers.
More people are farmers than
Most of
other
them,
in
yes, most of
Uganda.
them
Huh?
are farmers.
And you were from a large family. I remember we talked.
Big family. We are 19 children.
19 children, 19.
Yes.
One father, one mother.
Yes.
Well, they were glad to see you go to the seminary when you were 15. How long does a family stay with their parents in Uganda? At what age generally?
18.
18?
Yes.
About the same as here.
18, yes.
But most people do not have education much.
They go up to primary education, a few get senior secondary education, and that is one of the problems in my parish, because most children do not go over primary education, and we are trying to raise up a school, a post-primary school, where children could at least have more than elementary education.
You were talking about the one way to get to try to solve or keep down the AIDS, prevalence of AIDS, would be through the church and through morals and so forth.
Moral education.
How long do you think a program like this would take to really start to show some change?
I think
Your lifetime?
No, I think within 2-3 years.
Was
there
it that
would be-
quick?
Yes, it would work, especially through the school children. If we could reach most of our school children and the other children in the area, at least it would be sure that the future would be much brighter. And even among youth, because we have several youth, but they get information only from the radio mostly. Many of them will not be able to read, they don't know how to read, or they don't have materials to read. But if we reach them with the word of mouth, I think would bring a change.
Out of a given 100 quote unquote families or groups, how many would be married
Where?
in Uganda? In other words, if you have households with people and children, are they all married?
For example, a family of 8 or 10
Yes.
boys, perhaps 6 would be married. Yes.
So most people marry,
Yes, most.
so they don't just live together like it's happening in the United States now?
No, they get married, but few get legally married. By that I mean Christian marriage. A boy would take a girl and they start making a family, but not in a Christian way.
Okay.
That is due mainly to dowry. You have customary dowry. A boy would have to pay 8 to 12 cows. Usually the family may not have so many cows to pay. So a boy decides to take a girl and they live together.
Then they don't have to give cows that way. Is that what you're saying?
The parents
They don't
would
have to.
force
You don't get
them.
involved.
No,
All
they
right.
don't, yes.
Now, you mentioned off camera that if there was a marriage and the man dies, let's say he has AIDS and he
Yes,
dies,
that's right, yes.
what happens to his widow and children?
They remain there, and then it is those we try to take care. I mean, the church tries, then the government tries to take care. We take care of the children. We try to help them get education, and the family does its best. But usually, a widow may live for about 6 or 5 years before she dies. Usually, they live longer.
And you said the brother of the,
Of the deceased
yes,
may take the wife, especially if she is still young. That happens in some tribes, not in all tribes, but in
that's-
some tribes, yes.
that's expected.
They are expected it is their duty, it is the duty of the successor to look after the wife, the widow, and the orphans.
Okay.
Yeah.
That pleasant sound you see is right behind me here. And I just raised my hand and I shouldn't have because we had a bird there. I'm sorry.
I don't know.
You had him on camera. All right. Calvin had him just outside the window. Now, Father Walsh, you were talking before about morals also in Jamaica.
Yeah.
Do you have a big AIDS problem in Jamaica also?
Yes, we do. The marriage rate is probably less than 20% of those who are living, the man, the wife, and the children. Maybe 80% or more are not married. And if things don't work out, especially for the husband, meaning that if he has 2, 3, 4 children, or sometimes only one, and he doesn't have a good job, the way he solves his financial problem is to leave the woman and the children.
Solves his problem, but not the
Solves his
family's problem. Yeah.
And leaves them
Yeah.
at the mercy
Right.
of the elements.
Now, when you say 20%, you mean Christian marriage or just marriage in general?
All marriages.
All marriages, huh? Now, is Catholic the predominant religion in Jamaica?
No,
No.
it's only 7% Catholic,
Okay.
but it's mostly Christian of some denomination. But like I had last year, I baptized 11 of the children, and they had been under instructions for some years, and not one of them had been going to any church at all. So you would call those unchurched. So they didn't convert, they just had no religion at all. And that's what happens to most of the very poor children. They just go to any church that's nearby, and maybe they will enjoy a particular type of service, or they may enjoy getting some donations from the church. If they go with their mother, they might help them out.
Now, would you say to a person, you're going to a Christian church, but you should be coming to a Catholic church?
Well, I never say that.
You don't say that, all right? I would think that would make it very confusing. You don't say that. But are you satisfied that they're there, or do you, as long as they're going to church, or do you still let them come on their own, or how? What happens?
In the home?
Yes.
Well, in the home, if a mother brings a child, if it's not an orphan, and the mother brings a child, we always tell the mother before the child comes into the home that here all the children go to Catholic services. And I've never met one yet that said she was unhappy about that. But they're all happy about that.
Now, a parish priest in Jamaica would have a much smaller area than Father Macasa's 50-mile radius. You'd have a lot smaller than that if you were a parish priest.
Much smaller. Yeah.
Much smaller there.
Yeah.
Are there many Catholic priests in Jamaica?
There's quite a few parishes without any.
Without any?
Yeah.
Well, how can it be a parish without a priest? What do
Well,
you do? How are you a parish if you don't have a priest?
Well, like in the case of Uganda, you would have some catechist, or you might have a deacon, or you might have a nun in charge of the parish, doing all the administrative work. And then the priest will come in, say, once a month for
Say Mass.
Mass.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, we have two priests. Not only is the contrast that this is a black man and a white man, but we have gray and not black. Now, your colors of your in Uganda are what? Gray or black?
Black and gray, both.
Either one.
Yes.
Does the gray mean that you are higher in the church? Nothing. You have a choice?
Yes, a choice.
Do you have choice?
In Jamaica, you see quite a few different colors.
You
for
do.
the priest's garb.
All right. Now, when I think of Franciscans, I think of a brown.
Well, we Franciscans confuse people because we have three main branches, and then we have a lot of little groups that are Franciscans. So we also have a change in color. We have brown Franciscans, black Franciscans, gray Franciscans in the main group, and then you have others in the other groups.
You do that deliberately, don't you, to confuse us?
I think maybe we are the ones that are confused.
Okay. Because I would not know that you're Franciscan. You mentioned it before, you're Franciscan. Now, do you have a name for your order?
No, I am a diocesan priest.
What?
A diocesan priest.
Diocesan priest.
Yes.
Well, basically, I am too now.
Yes.
Because I've been down in Jamaica for 30 years under the bishops.
When you talk to each other, can you talk common problems? Like, for instance, the AIDS problem, morality is always a problem, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's been trying to be settled now for 2,000 years, and it's not only our religion, but all the Christians and all the religions, I guess, are looking for morals. That's the one thing.
Well, I would say ever since Adam and Eve went to school, we had the problem.
Yes.
As long as we're human beings, we have the problem.
Okay, yes.
But what happens is that the church has the solution, but people are not using the solution. I remember we had a program in Jamaica for what they called Teen Talk. It was all young teens. And I think two of my teens were on it, two of the girls. And the teens were telling the program moderator that they thought the best way to solve AIDS was abstinence. And he got flustered. he was pushing condoms and pushing all this other stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Here, the teenagers could see the connection. That the best way to solve the problem was abstinence, and then you get married, have one partner.
Yeah.
Right? That was the way.
Now,
And of course, that is the Catholic approach, but it's not well accepted.
so to have a child out of wedlock in Uganda is not frowned upon by the people? If a person, a young girl, 18 or 17, is living at home and she becomes pregnant, is she ostracized? Is she thrown out of the family or anything like that?
Not really, but the family would not like it.
They would not like it. All right.
But not in Jamaica.
Jamaica, what would happen?
Nothing is said.
Nothing is said.
Some of them times are proud of it.
They're expecting it.
Even the grandparents are proud.
Well, they're getting proud here in the United States.
Yeah.
They're proud to put in the paper that it's a single girl and the man's name, and they aren't married. You know, they aren't even married. Or the girl puts it in without any father's name, just the girl. Now, we wouldn't have done that 30 years ago. And I'm not saying it's good or bad. I mean, no one thinks it's good.
Well,
but
I'll say it's bad.
I'm with you. I will say, well, all right.
Of
All right.
course, my children in the home, 50 children, right? They constantly hear the Catholic teaching. That doesn't mean they accept it, right?
No, I
Because of
understand.
the tremendous pressure. Remember, they go out to school.
Yeah.
They don't have schooling in the home. They just have tutoring and their studies. But they are under constant pressure from outside to follow the customs that are prevalent.
But what ages do you have at your orphanage?
I always have babies, so we start from babies right up, and they stay with me until they're able to go out on their own.
Okay.
Which means if they're going to college, going to university,
Okay, boys and girls.
boys and
Okay, now, suppose a girl at your orphanage becomes pregnant.
and
You don't just say,
No, they
You
don't.
can't have it. You can't have, and you can't have an abortion. Obviously, we're not going to have an abortion.
No.
So, but is that person accepted or shunned?
you know, the girl has to leave the home.
She has to leave the
Yeah.
home.
But I will look after her.
I see.
Yeah.
Where would she go?
Unless she shacks up with the guy.
Oh, that's
Then
all
I
right.
say, well, that's your problem.
Yes.
He has to support you.
Okay. But where would she go? You say she has to leave the home. She's not going to go back to her home, her parents.
Well, there's usually only one parent anyway, and there's no space
right.
there to begin with,
Yes.
and that's why I have the child.
Okay.
And the first condition that come into the home is to be indigent. No one can support the
Yeah.
child. Right? So I don't get any support from outside,
Yeah.
from the relatives of the children, none. Right.
We're talking with two visiting priests, Father Walsh from Jamaica and Father Makasa from Uganda. Worlds apart, but they have the same problem.
Same problems.
Both trying to
Yeah.
teach the young and the old, keep them healthy. Number one. Number two, you make sure that they know Christ. Make sure that they become better people. That's basically your.
Like I've had,
Right.
I'm having two weddings of two of my boys this year. Both of them are gone from the home.
Now wait a minute. Make sure you don't say two of your boys. They are going to marry each other. Come on, it's different.
Very important, right.
Very important.
One is in Toronto. And the other is in
All
Jamaica.
right.
And I'm attending the one in Toronto Saturday coming.
Well, great.
Yeah.
You're having a
He went
busy
through my
trip.
home,
Yes.
right? And then he migrates to Canada. I have quite a few St. Anthony home children in Toronto.
Okay.
I think about 12.
Oh yeah. Okay. We'll be right back. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And then in 15 years, I've had 15 of the children get married. Always to somebody outside the home.
Why are they in Toronto? All of them? You said that they come to
Because
Toronto.
in this case, they do have a mother, and the mother migrated years ago. She said, maybe I can help my children better by going to Toronto.
And they're all the same family? The 15?
No.
Oh,
No.
okay.
They're all different families.
Okay.
But in this particular family, this boy has two brothers and a sister that are up there, and two of those others are married already.
This is the house of animals. Look out there. You see now we got a squirrel on the rail here, and everyone comes to see Rita at the mission center in Champlain, New York. We're going to take a
Especially
turn.
with Franciscan.
You particularly with a Franciscan here, and with the animals, and we wilder animals here. The bigger animals going to come from Uganda in just a minute. We're having a great time. No thing is just particularly want you to meet these fine people, and if you see them in the future, they're regular visitors here in Champlain, New York. We'll be right back.
Sold that giant back here. Behind you.
Oh, the squirrel jumped there now, taking the food, the bird's food. And as we were talking with Calvin, of course, a squirrel is nothing more than a rat with a fancy tail. Same family, yep.
Yeah.